What's up, guys? Welcome once again to the Save Continue podcast. My name is Ryan Robinson. This here is Tom Shelby.
It's a mighty fine gin and tonic.
That there's Shanee Howard.
Hi. I brought booze.
Yeah, she did. She bought a gin and a lot of sparkling waters.
Tonics, mineral water, and lemonade. Cause
What is a tonic?
When you say tonics, I just think potions.
Yeah, I brought
like snake oil
potions.
salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
step right up.
this'll get you girlfriends.
Will it really?
What?
Well, not Ryan, because he's only drinking mineral water, not tonic water.
So I'll get the girlfriends.
Oh.
Yeah, all of the girlfriends.
Good to
and,
know.
And the horse girlfriends.
Tom, things are looking up for you. I think this is the first time I'd ever had a gin and water before.
Yeah.
So.
Ryan, didn't you say you had trivia this week?
Ooh.
Yeah, shit. I left that at home.
God damn it.
I'm sorry.
I specifically didn't prepare one
I know.
because of that.
I know. I fucked up. It's my bad.
All right.
It's my bad. I fucked up.
Well, let's think of one real quick.
Okay.
First person to think of a good trivia.
Okay.
Name 2 Nintendo first-party studios.
Okay. Hold on.
I'm really bad with names.
Well, it's funny. The reason
Camelot.
I picked Nintendo, no.
Oh.
The reason I picked Nintendo is, a lot of people know Sony first-party studios. A lot of
Yeah.
people know Microsoft first-party studios. It seems like not a lot of people know Nintendo first-party.
Retro.
That's one.
Shit. I wanted
Rockstar.
Yes. No.
I wanted to say Game Freak, but they made a game for Sega.
Yep.
Shit.
No say. I'm passing out on this one. I lose.
Retro
As per usual.
and R&D 4.
Okay.
Can you name any other?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's not called R&D 4 anymore. I know that. They changed it to like some real generic like Nintendo E something, like Nintendo Entertainment something. They changed it around. But people still know them as R&D 4.
My eye hurts a lot right now. I can't think of stuff.
Sure.
Oh my god.
But I don't have anything to promote, so you guys promote whatever you want.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
promote something.
I'm promoting booze, babes, and good times.
Sure.
I
Sure.
What I thought you were gonna be like, I'm promoting my wedding that I'm having.
If you just talked about that until 2019 on every show.
Oh, I'd be the most obnoxious.
Yeah. I wouldn't want that. That would deter me from
Listening to your own podcast
Yeah.
or showing up.
Yeah. I'm like, shit, we're just gonna talk about Shanee's wedding for an hour, so she can just be on the show by herself. But Tom and I will be officiating at that wedding, so that'll be good. You know, we'll join you and Berto in holy matrimony. So
Do you, Shanee Howard, take this horse?
yeah, to be your lawfully wedded horse.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. All right.
It'd be weird it'd be funny if
It'd be
like
weird if I said no.
if like you know how like in Horse Prince how the girl saw the face on the horse, but everybody else just saw a horse.
It'd be funny if
like,
I see Berto
You see
as
Berto,
Berto.
we just see a horse. Everyone else, he was just
But
a
like he
horse
has a
that we're-
Berto body, but he has a horse face, and no one has brought it up to him.
No, I feel like he'd be really upset about that. So last night, Shanee, Tom and I were hanging out. And I don't.
that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't remember how we got onto this topic.
It's because I've been playing a lot of Splatoon.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking
Splatting?
about how everybody during Splatfest
Have you been splooting? Or just
sides with
splatting?
Marina, and Ryan was like, well, that's the hot one.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about, like, is there Splatoon fan fiction? And of course there is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But I mean, and I did. To be fair, I did find Splatoon fan fiction. I found one called like Three Way Incorporated.
Well, yours was
Well, no,
mostly
no,
about
no.
the sisters.
All right.
Like, everyone you were finding was about the sisters.
Yeah.
Is it erotic fan fiction we're looking
yeah.
at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people
there-
want to have
'cause
sex with these squids, and like they are children.
Yeah.
Because there could be fan fiction of them just having a fun time or like a
No.
birthday party.
I feel like if the title of the story has the word three-way in it, that's
Plus, like they're very mature kids, so like birthday party, I don't think fits in with the whole Splatoon thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just saying, I bet I can find some sort of Splatoon birthday party,
Well-
G-rated fan fiction.
well, I'm sure you could, but I feel like
or write my own.
sure. But I also feel like Tom and I also came to the conclusion last night that if any fictional character looks at least vaguely humanoid, someone's gonna write a story about it getting fucked.
Yeah, I think you kind
It
of
doesn't
proved
even
that
have-
point.
So
I mean, I mean, there's like SpongeBob erotic fiction, so
sure. I mean, he's got a lot of holes. So
I've come across quite a few Sandy SpongeBob.
He's from Texas.
yeah.
We're from Texas.
Yeah, makes sense. So I don't, and like one of us was like, I wonder if there's because Tom started asking about Candy Kong from Donkey Kong Country, and I'm like,
You said I was gonna like where this is going.
You will.
yeah, and
All
then I
right.
was like,
Bring
You're
me-
into the
bring
stuff.
Me there.
You're
Bring
into
me
this
there.
stuff.
because like I was like, do you think that there's any erotic fan fiction about Candy Kong? And I was like, there's gotta be.
Shanee, like the week we met you,
Yeah.
well, not met you, but the week we started like hanging out, like one of the first things you ever talked to us about was porn parodies and
Yeah.
how into them you were.
Yeah,
I-
like you taught us, you showed us that fucking Ninja Turtles one, with Spreader and
I also told you about the
So
awesome,
I feel like this is right
about
up
the
your alley.
awesome Office one. But see, that is like real people in costumes.
No, that's turtles.
yeah, that was Turtles.
It was people in costumes.
Sure.
So actually,
not-
the actual act, as long as it's people, is better than the written thing. The written thing that's not happening.
Well, yeah, because all right, hear me out.
Okay.
I'm not down for underage porn parodying.
As-
Well, I don't know how old Candy Kong is.
Sure.
She seems like a girl. She doesn't seem
No,
like a woman.
No, you're thinking of Dixie Kong.
Yeah, you're thinking.
I
of
am
Dixie
thinking
Kong.
about Dixie Kong,
But-
you are
But
100%
but to be
correct.
fair,
This is about Dixie Kong.
I don't like sexualizing
Chimps?
children characters.
But you're okay with chimps.
If the story it has them aged up to adulthood,
Well,
it's a little
seem
bit
to.
better.
I mean, what?
It's
how,
a little bit better.
How old do you think she is in chimp years?
I think I think she's a growing chimp.
Yeah.
I think she's still in adolescence. I don't think she's into adulthood.
Okay.
I don't know chimp years.
I mean, to be
I'm
fair-
not a chimpologist.
To be
I just
fair,
don't-
she's at least 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
in the
And
game.
well, in real life, considering when that game was published.
yeah, and the story was written in 2015, so
In the story, does she seem like an adult or like a child?
I think.
She seems pretty adult.
All right.
I'll read. I'll read some excerpts from the story.
I don't.
Ryan, what's the story called, by the way?
The story. Is,
I have read excerpts of a dinosaur fucking a woman, but they've been adult dinosaur and adult woman.
No, part of my book club, we read Taken by the T-Rex once.
Oh.
And that was pretty interesting. I've got illustrations I'll share in the Discord.
Okay, this story, Shanee, is called Mutual Desires.
A Donkey Kong Country.
It's,
what is it?
A Donkey Kong Country
Who's the
fan.
leading? Who's the leading characters?
Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong,
Sexy Kong.
and
Isn't there one named Tails?
yeah,
But
that's
it's not Tails from Sonic.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just some random made-up character.
yeah, some Tails the monkey. I guess I don't know.
Some OC. Okay. Okay.
The story takes place in the land of Chimptopia.
not like the actual universe they're in.
Well, I mean, is the place do the games actually take place in a place called Donkey Kong Country?
Possibly.
I don't remember what it's called, but the setting does have a name.
So for all intents and purposes, the name is Chimptopia. So,
God, I hate you so much right now. Because I don't know if they're of age.
they probably are.
Who's to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're chimps.
They ain't got parents, so.
Just because you don't have parents doesn't mean you're not a child. There's children without parents.
Hey.
Not going around fighting Kremlings.
So, the story opens with Diddy Kong enjoying a banana, apparently with his eyes closed. Dixie Kong happens upon him, says, "What you doing, Diddy?" Diddy dropped his banana into a nearby puddle of mud since his voice startled her. He put his hands on his head facing the ground, then sighed. "Dang it, Dixie. That was my last banana, and I only took 2 bites out of it." He replied in a harsh tone. She says, "I'm sorry, Diddy. I just wondered what you were up to. Listen, I'm sorry for sounding like King K. Rool, but you just can't walk in like that." So that sets it up, right?
I mean, how good is chimp hearing? I feel like you would hear another chimp come across.
Well, his ear, I don't remember. Does he have visible ears?
Yeah.
Okay. They're pretty good size, right? So he's probably in his own world eating that banana.
All right, true that. Bananas are distracting.
And she says, "Diddy, I'm sorry. It won't happen again."
We don't need visual representation.
She said in an angelic tone.
Not when he's being sexualized.
Yeah, that's Diddy. What am I? I'm reading dialogue. There's no visual. I'm gonna get to the visuals in a second.
Tommy's adding visual right now.
Okay, hold on.
Shanee, I'll add the visual. You add the audio.
I'm going to clear my throat uncomfortably a couple times. That's the only audio you're getting.
Okay, so later on, this is where it gets adult.
Oh, God.
You're not going to give, like, author credit?
Oh, yeah, sorry. The story was written by someone named One Cams. 1KAMZ.
I'll take
on
one cams.
On fanfiction.net.
Yeah, and they said that was also co-written by a friend who I presume helped One Cams with the source material.
Ghostwriter.
It's a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
I lost my place.
Sorry.
He ate the banana, he dropped the banana, and there's sexual tension now.
Yeah, there is. All right.
Seems like a pretty A and B story.
Okay.
God damn it.
With a wink on her face and a finger on his lips, the monkey just stood there and blushed. The monkey just stood there and blushed. "This way," she said as she held his hand, leading him into her house. His mind rushed to find words.
See, she's a homeowner.
Yeah, so you have to be an adult to buy a house.
Children call stuff their house that is not their house.
Well, the story says this story is written in a third person. So.
Yeah. Maybe it's in the future. We don't know.
His mind rushed to find words, and they raced upstairs but failed. His arousal and nervousness filled his thoughts, replacing everything else. The two ran up the stairs swiftly to the hall, opened a ceiling door that led to the attic, and went up. When they got up, Dixie closed the door and turned her gaze to Diddy, who was blushing deep red. Dixie, too, was blushing madly. Her heart was now pumping blood like crazy.
I hope madly's, like, capitalized all of it.
It is not. Dixie,
Poor choice.
before he could finish, she wrapped her arms around his back and kissed him deeply. And the chest of the monkey beat a drum rapidly. Dixie was pushing him onto the floor. She succeeded. Now she was laying on top of him, kissing and rubbing his shoulders. Diddy, now getting a grip of himself, held Dixie tight and rubbed her body. Their breaths filled the silence of the attic. It was like a fire growing bigger.
Why are they in the attic? It's her house.
Because that's where you fuck, man. It was like a fire growing bigger, and yet the fire at the moment was still small. Dixie parted from Diddy, mouthed slowly, then began to take off her clothes. First, her pink hat.
All right, let me see. Oh my god.
First, her pink hat. That's awesome. Oh man.
There are
At one point, she just tells him, "Just stick your fingers inside."
Yeah.
Well, what's funny to me is that when you were reading it last night, you got to a part with a bra, and I thought it was really funny that Dixie Kong had a bra.
Yeah. There's It also mentions Diddy Kong's penis.
It is also talk about letting
His throbbing monkey penis. What?
Her other hand grabbed his undersack and massaged it.
Shanee, give me your best Donkey Kong impression.
I also just want to read this last one.
Okay.
Dixie had never have someone else other than herself enter her vagina.
Man.
It was different, warming, and ecstatic.
This show is awesome.
If two people
Look,
wrote
they come here for quality entertainment, and we provide it.
Yeah.
Two people wrote this together.
Well, no, one person wrote the story. The other person just helped him with like names
World
and
building.
Yeah, names and places.
Shanee, give me a Donkey Kong impression.
Cream. I feel.
Is that it?
Let me see that. Where is?
That's.
Oh. His blood rush became stronger
No,
with each.
just what I read.
I see it.
Yeah.
And then his
That's
blood rush became stronger with each pump.
Oh.
Breathing from the two heightened, their bodies merging to become love and lust incarnate. Nothing else could bring them out of their trance now, for they have completely set on the passionate and thrilling experience that captured them.
All right, we got to stop reading this.
No, it's a pretty good story.
All right. I'm going to introduce you guys to My Immortal. If anybody that listens to this knows what that is.
Is that about Mortal Kombat?
Is it?
It's some of the best fan fiction to ever be written. It's better than Ice Climbers / Macho Man Randy Savage. For sure.
You gonna answer Tommy's question?
It's not.
Okay.
Should this, I mean, we're talking about Xbox today, but should the thumbnail be Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong?
No.
Yes.
only if it's going to be adult versions of them.
I'm sure I can find that.
Well, like,
Yes.
their age is never established in any of the games, right?
They're
Or in
obviously
this
children.
writing. In this writing, we don't know. This could be in the future.
Yeah.
It could be in the future, so let's keep
Like,
it
why
that way.
do we assume Diddy is a kid because he's smaller than Donkey?
I just find it suspect that her outfit from childhood to adulthood has not changed.
I mean, the same happened with Doug.
Yeah. Well, no, his changed when all new Doug happened.
I'm just saying, like, when they had the Rugrats all grown up, like, they weren't walking around wearing diapers.
They weren't grown up either.
Yeah, they were high schoolers.
I think they were younger than that. Anyhow,
I'm really glad you shared that, Ryan.
I'm glad you shared it. It's hilarious
Yeah,
to me.
I thought it was funny. You're a stick in the mud, Shanee. Where's that Donkey Kong impression?
I can't do one.
Just give us a good donkey.
I can't.
Ryan, you got anything?
Yeah. Well, my first thought was Auga, but that's a car horn.
Sure.
What's it? What is the sound that he makes?
Sharon,
Well, you
that's
got to
it.
go with like the standard, like there, because Donkey Kong's not real vocal, but he does the whee, like there's that.
Does he do a lot of?
A little bit,
Okay.
a little bit in the Returns games.
Okay. Cause he doesn't talk, so it's like it's kind of.
Yeah.
I just got the wahoo down. But that's
Do
not
it.
Donkey Kong.
Do it.
Wahoo!
That's pretty good. Tom, do your don't you have a Yoshi impression?
Yeah, this is the brown. Like everybody can do that.
Right on. Well, that was a fun.
I
way
wish I could do the straining whine that he does when he does that long jump. Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
No, that. Well, I'm doing it wrong.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I bet our listeners love this.
Look,
Sure.
man, we've been doing the show for 2 years.
We're obviously doing it for ourselves and nobody else at this point.
I feel like if you're still listening, you know what you're getting out of this. Okay, you gotta, right? Well, anyway, that was a fun way. That was a fun 20 minutes. All right. So, Tom.
Yes. Yeah,
we point out last night that the Xbox One X came out. And we said almost literally nothing about it.
yeah, I just thought it was interesting that
We talked
a new
about
console
before it
came out.
Yeah.
Like what it's going to be and like specs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like we talked about Pro somewhat in depth. We talked about the Switch very in depth. And it's just interesting to me that a new piece of hardware would come out, and we just
Meh.
not that interested in it. And this isn't so much about the Xbox One X as to like as it is, why is it that we're not as interested in it?
So why? And that's a good point.
Want to
And
know why?
what's that?
Because I have an Xbox One. That's why.
Well, I mean, sure, but at the same time, like I feel like a lot of the enthusiasm around the Xbox One X came from people who already own Xbox Ones.
Well, I think it's most interesting to me because like we've had
Well, I also don't buy like the newest shit all the time.
console revisions since Atari. In fact, more consoles have been revised than consoles that have not been revised. But this generation with the PlayStation 4 Pro and with the Xbox One X, it's kind of the first time that we've seen a revision that actually changes the abilities of the console itself.
Right.
Excluding things like built-in internet and stuff like that.
Yeah. But like in terms of like performance that you're getting out of these games.
Right.
But I mean, does the average consumer get what all is new with Xbox One X?
No,
I don't know.
Well, probably not. Because I think that to get that you have to actively look for it. Because
But also like.
But it's funny that like the only friend of mine that is interested in buying one is the average consumer.
Yeah.
Like he plays Destiny and that's all he's really going to play until the next big thing comes out, and he wants to buy it just for Destiny.
Yeah.
Even though he's already playing it.
Yeah, but he could very easily just be the person who walks into a retailer and say, "Give me the latest Xbox, please."
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't understand what to be excited about, it's kind of hard to be excited about it.
Well, we talked about this last night, Ryan and I.
Especially when, like...
What was said from Microsoft officials before this console's launch and announcement kind of gave you less reason to be excited about it. Like Phil Spencer in an interview with Game Informer, an interview with Giant Bomb when this thing was announced, said if you don't have a 4K television, there's no reason to buy this. And we know that that's not the case. We know that even if you're using a 1080p television, there are still advantages to it. So why would Microsoft then downplay it? They also have another representative who said that whether you're playing, and this was through Game Informer, whether you're playing with the Xbox One, the One S, or the One X, you're getting the same frame rate across the board because that's how developers develop games, which is laughable. We know that's not true.
Sure.
And that is not the case with the One X. You can get better frame rates with the One X. So it's funny to me that Microsoft officials, either because of lack of knowledge or maybe for another reason, kind of downplayed what this could do. And why would you do that?
But I feel like Phil Spencer knows enough about game development and console development to, not make oversights like that,
Right.
which is why it was surprising that he did.
Right.
And I mean, if you put I'm sorry, go ahead, Shanee.
Oh, no, you can...
Well,
you can finish.
I was looking at, so the PlayStation 4 Pro, it was like I felt like that it was kind of a big deal when it was announced and it subsequently came out, but like not in the way that the Xbox One X was, especially considering like the mystery surrounding like what this thing was going to be back when it was Project Scorpio.
Right.
And then you look at and it's funny that like we didn't really talk about it because you look at the specs next to the PlayStation 4 Pro. The thing is it's smaller. It's got more memory. It's got more power in it. It's all around the more impressive machine, and yet we're not talking about it. But at the same time, I feel like it's also because of this whole like half-step console thing, in which like and maybe I'm in the minority here, but like the whole like. It'll play all the games across. It'll play all the Xbox Ones will be able to play the same games,
which holds back the potential of the X.
I would personally much rather be like, no, I want like if they came out and said, look, there are games that will only play on the Xbox One X,
right,
to take full advantage of that machine's capabilities.
And for me, like even to exclude Windows.
Yeah.
Because if I can play it on Windows, I'm going to get better performance on my computer.
And the funny thing is that they seem to be okay with that.
Yeah.
They seem to be okay with this whole play anywhere thing.
Well, they're okay with it because if you're playing it on PC, specifically with Microsoft published games, you're playing it on Windows, which they own.
Yeah.
You're not playing it on fucking Mac.
Yeah, but like in the interest of like research and development and marketing and like production of this console, you feel like you want to sell as much of these as possible.
Absolutely.
But like this whole play anywhere thing is like kind of cannibalizing that. So
I've got some interesting numbers. I read them to you last night. I want to see what you and Shanee think about it.
Okay.
Numbers.
Keep in mind these are sales in Japan for the last month. Console sales in Japan.
Okay.
This is the month that Xbox One X came out.
But also, like, Microsoft doesn't do as well in Japan.
I am aware. But I think these numbers are still quite
Telling.
interesting. So Microsoft, about a week after the launch of the X, said that retailers in Japan, the Xbox One X stock in Japan is sold out.
right.
That is not a lie.
Sure.
That is completely true.
It's a half truth.
Interesting thing
Much like
about
a
it
half-step.
is retailers did not get any units to sell outside of what was pre-ordered.
Right.
So only people that pre-ordered the console actually got it.
Right.
Are they trying to do a Nintendo false scarcity thing?
No.
It's something a little more.
I mean, it's interesting because, like you said, Japan isn't that interested in Xbox. They're not. They never have been.
Right.
But anyway, last month's numbers, Nintendo Switch sold the best with this is Japan numbers. Nintendo Switch sold the best, PS4 behind it, 2DS XL behind that, 3DS after that, PlayStation 4 Pro, PS Vita, and then the Xbox One X. So
PS Vita's above it?
Vita's above it, 2DS is above it, but that's not surprising. The Japanese market plays mostly handheld. Xbox One X. So now you got a guess for how many units this sold in Japan?
60,000.
Ryan?
About 1,300.
1,639 units.
Holy shit.
I would assume, and yes, they're very different markets, but I would assume that sold better in San Antonio alone than in the entire country of
Because
Japan.
remember, the only stock that retailers got was for pre-orders.
Right. So that's how many people pre-ordered, and that's what sold. So for Microsoft to come out and say that, we sold out, that's not false.
Sure.
But
But
it's,
you
still,
only
it's not
sold
impressive.
1,000.
It's not impressive.
It's
right?
not false, but it's not the whole picture, right? And so like, what is the message you're trying to send here? Because especially considering the fact that these numbers are.
Well, you want to make it sound good, and the average person isn't going to seek out these numbers, right?
Sure. But like,
we're talking about the average consumer. Average consumer thinks, "Wow, this sold out in Japan." That's all they know.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of. I feel like insidious is too strong a word, but like at the same time,
It's misleading.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the thing, right? Like I asked a friend of mine last week, "Who is this for?" And I get who it's for.
Sure.
It's for the person who wants the best visual fidelity with Microsoft games, who doesn't want to play on PC.
Right.
I get that.
Right.
And to be fair, the power of the console itself is pretty good. You cannot build a PC that powerful for that money. You can't.
Sure.
But to be fair, on a PC, you also get way more capabilities and way more games. Right? Games that can take advantage of the power.
Right. How much? Okay. How much would it cost you to build a PC with the power of an Xbox One X?
I'm not sure. I just shot in the dark. Probably $800.
Right.
$900.
Right.
Where this thing I think is $500.
Yeah. And so like. I mean, because you've talked plenty of times before, and I keep going back to this because it's fascinating to me. This whole what the Play Anywhere thing, like, because the big selling point, at least for me, where consoles are concerned, is things that are exclusive to those consoles, right?
Right.
I got my PlayStation because I want to play those exclusives. I have an Xbox One, sure, because at the time I want to play those exclusives. But I am capable of playing those exclusives on my computer if I so choose.
Right.
Which, at this point, makes my Xbox redundant. For me, anyway.
Well, I don't know for sure, but the only Xbox One exclusive that I can think about that is not now on Windows is Sunset Overdrive.
That's the only one I can think
I can't think of another one. I can't.
Yeah.
And like, it's a very consumer-friendly thing. I think it is a good thing for the consumer to be able to play it on your computer and on your Xbox. It just doesn't seem like the best business move.
That's why it's so baffling.
Yeah.
Because sure, I'm glad that I have that. I'm glad that I have that option. But like, it's just like, what is the end game here? And like, but at the same time, I think I am also underestimating the number of people who don't want to play on computer. Which, I mean, it's understandable why you wouldn't.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Like, so there's plenty of people who just like, they don't want to mess with stuff with what comes with playing games on your computer. They don't want to mess with any of that. They just want a box that you just plug into your TV and it just works. Which I get that.
Absolutely.
And maybe and I guess like to your point, that's who that's for. You know, they want the most powerful.
But here's the thing: it's not for people who want that. It's for people who want that and don't care about Sony or Nintendo exclusives.
Yeah.
It's for people who want that want Forza, Gears, and Halo.
Yeah.
And that audience is rapidly shrinking.
Sure.
You know, you get promised things like Scalebound and fucking what's the open world one?
I can't remember.
The Pirates
with
one?
the orbs.
Oh, Crackdown
3 and Fable and all that. And, you know, Fable's gone. Scalebound's gone.
Yeah.
Phantom Dust is no longer a new game, just a free, better version of the old game.
Sure.
Like, what is there for that group of people, you know?
Because you're not going to sell boxes on Halo and Forza and, like, forever. And, like, I'd even guard you to say, like, is the next Halo going to move units?
I know people that will buy anything that has Halo on it, but that number I think has dwindled.
Yeah,
you know.
Like, are you gonna go out and buy an Xbox One X because of Halo 6?
Yeah, I mean, some people will, yes, but Halo 6 isn't there.
Yeah,
this console launched with nothing.
Sure,
you know.
And it's
Crackdown was supposed to be there, but it's not.
Yeah,
and even that, like, not that many people really care about Crackdown.
Do you feel like the reason they did downplay it was so there wouldn't be like empty promises as far as like game's fidelity? Like maybe it wasn't, they didn't know if it would necessarily at first work well.
Well, and you don't know, right?
And they were preparing for the backlash in case that happened.
I think that's a good point.
That way they can go back on their word and be like, hey, we said it was going to be like this.
It's a good point because first party didn't launch anything. So they are dependent on all third party and second party, right? Which they've got no control over what these other studios are doing. So you're right. That probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, because best case scenario, the games are better and they run really well and they can go with that in the future.
Yeah.
Are they right now? I haven't seen.
Oh, the games are better.
No,
the games are very noticeably better.
I'm talking about for marketing and talking about it in conferences.
Right.
Are they saying like, oh, hey, look how great the Xbox One X is. We have this, this, and this. Look how good it looks like on there. Are they doing that or no?
I don't know.
I feel like
I haven't seen anything.
Well, that's like a lot of it.
It's hard to be hype about something that being better when you don't know about it.
Well, I think like a lot of the onus on that sort of thing has fallen on the publisher, like the third-party publishers of these games. Are like, hey, we have the new Xbox One X update out for our game. Look how our game looks on the Xbox One X.
What I want to see is NPD.
But they can't really spend the money and do all of that necessarily. Like, not all the third-party companies can.
Yeah.
They need Microsoft.
Microsoft can though.
But they need Microsoft to be that voice to reach that audience.
And they did. They did with one game, and that game is Shadow of War. That was their big push for this console.
But Shadow of War.
What I was about to say is I want to see NPD for Shadow of War. Where did that sell best?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, and the oddly enough, the game that I've seen them pushing the most alongside the Xbox One X is Super Lucky's Tale,
which got mediocre reviews.
Well, what about the Forza thing?
Forza, yeah. Forza's a big deal. It seems like people are happier with Forza than they are with Gran Turismo this time around, although people are not happy with the microtransactions in that, which is funny because Microsoft has traditionally largely stayed away from that.
Yeah.
Not so much this time.
Yeah, because I remember during the conference, there was a lot of Forza stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think that what you want, if you're gonna talk, because they bank a lot on, look, this is the most powerful console out there, which it is.
It is.
And that's But I don't think that there was a point at which anyone was going to argue otherwise, just because like that's kind of like it was going to be a matter of course that was going to be the case.
Well, it's funny, we talked about this when we first heard about this, about like every single generation since video games have been a thing, there's been one hardware manufacturer that could say that.
Yeah.
Every time, right?
Yeah.
Whether that be, PlayStation 1 or GameCube, or I guess it would have been Xbox at the time.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, every generation somebody can say that.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said that
until
this time.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and what's more weird about it is like, we're talking about like this is the most powerful console out there, but at the same time, it's like that's cool and everything, but it's playing games that I can already play on a less powerful console.
But they look better, they look very noticeably better.
They look noticeably better, sure, but like the experience that I could have
is the same. But to a lot of people, that's what matters, is the visual fidelity.
Yeah.
What's up, Shanee?
Oh, no, I was trying to see if I wanted another drink.
Oh, sure. I'll take another one.
You want another one?
I'm nursing this. We'll see. Thank you, though.
I put a lot of booze in yours.
Trying
to get Papa Tom drunk.
It's interesting, right? Like, I was talking to a buddy at work about it, and we're talking about, he's like, why wouldn't you buy one? You buy everything that comes out, which, yes, usually I do. But, obviously I with Play Anywhere, I can play it on my PC.
Like what is your incentive?
with better performance, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is exclusives, and he didn't quite understand first party. He's not real big into games the way we are, right? He likes to play games, but he doesn't understand who's making these games, who's publishing these games. And I told him, like, if I'm not huge into Forza or Halo, and I was like, PlayStation's exclusives have always spoken to me more. And he's like, well, like what? And I was like, well, like there's been a continuous stream. It might not be every month.
Sure.
But between The Order, whatever you think about it, or, Infamous, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Shadow of the Colossus,
like
all
this
these
year
things.
alone, like
Detroit, upcoming with Death Stranding, like, I was like, you realize these games are not going to be on PC ever, and they're not going to be on Xbox ever, and they're not going to be on Nintendo
like
ever.
There's your incentive
like,
to own
that's my reason to buy PlayStation.
Yeah, there's your incentive to own a PlayStation, right? And there's your incentive to like. There's an incentive, like, if your PlayStation breaks, like, there's an incentive there to replace it. Like, if my Xbox breaks, I'm not sure that I'd replace it.
Yeah, and I am way down on PlayStation. I'm much happier with what they did during PlayStation 3. The kinds of games we got and the developers we had during the PS3 era, I think is much more impressive than what we have today.
I feel like they're like last gen, they were more adventurous last gen.
Right. But like they're making smarter business decisions this gen, and that's showing, and they still undeniably have more exclusives that I personally want.
Right. But at the same again, what is your incentive to buy an Xbox One X?
Right. And like I know nothing about Ghost of Tsushima other than that short little trailer, right?
Yeah. But you know where you can play it.
I know where I can play it, and I know I'm psyched about it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like that coming out with Nintendo. There's nothing like that coming out with Microsoft.
Yeah. And likewise with Nintendo and the Switch, like there are experiences that are unique to that platform for you.
And even experiences that aren't unique to that platform, they're still unique to that platform because I can take them with me.
Yeah,
like Doom.
Like Doom, like or Wolfenstein, that. Like the difference is that I can play that anywhere. And like sure, I can take my laptop wherever I want to go, but it'd be a lot more convenient to take a Switch somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And like those things have those incentives, right? Like I can point to the reason why I would buy a PlayStation. I can point to the reasons why I would buy a Switch,
and a PC, and I can point to the reason why a small audience would buy the Xbox One X. That audience is just very small, very small, And these Japan numbers show that because yes, console gaming is not huge in Japan, and yes, Microsoft consoles in general are less popular in Japan, but less than 2,000, less than 2,000. That's crazy. I guarantee San Antonio alone sold more than that. Guarantee.
I wonder how many people bought the Xbox One in Japan when it first launched.
Not a lot.
First launch.
Not a lot.
And it's weird because like you go back to the Xbox 360, and that didn't sell well over there either.
Right.
Because on that platform, they're just like, and to be fair, I don't know a lot of the Japanese exclusive Xbox 360 titles, of which I'm sure there are a few.
Right. Right.
But like even the ones that are available internationally, like there's not a lot that I could look at and say like, yeah, the Japanese audience would like that, and even the ones that are like Tekken or games like that, like they could play those in other places.
Well, and the majority of that community prefers to play in the arcade.
Right.
But it is weird though. Like the X seems to be doing okay in Europe.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing too, is that like a lot of times when like people want to point out their numbers, they use UK sales,
and I feel like that makes more sense than pointing out that you sold out in Japan.
Yeah.
Do you point out that you sold out in Japan just because, yes, technically you can say you sold out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a way to spin it, and
right.
I mean, like, you're right. People aren't gonna look into the numbers.
Right.
It PR and marketing wise, and it just makes sense.
Sure.
To say that
I looked into the numbers.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, why would the average that's the thing too. Is like, why would the average consumer, like, why would they know that the thing sold out in Japan?
I don't know, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, they said it sold out in Japan before we had the numbers.
Sure.
I don't know.
So, and it's interesting, like, and it's cool that, I mean, there are people that I've seen who are like actively excited about this thing, which is great. Because again, that's the crowd that's like, they're not planning on playing on computer anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And to be fair, like, none of us bought a Pro either.
Yeah.
Like, we see very little reason to own a Pro as well until we get invested in VR or something.
Yeah. But, because I bought Horizon Zero Dawn recently.
Yeah.
Still
looks great.
I've heard great things about that thing on the Pro. I really have, like HDR, 4K. I've heard all that.
Well, your PlayStation has HDR. Mine does too. They patched that in. It's funny because the S came with HDR. No, it's funny
because I went into the settings.
Yeah.
It says not available.
Mine's available.
Yeah, it's weird.
So
they patched it in like the week after Xbox One S announced HDR. PlayStation's like, hey, guess what? All PlayStations have HDR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I got some numbers here.
Okay.
The Xbox One sold 23,562 consoles within its launch week in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And the Xbox 360 sold 62,000 consoles in 2005.
So the One numbers that you have make sense, right? It would make sense for more people to be excited about the One than an iteration on the One.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I just think it's interesting that I mean,
I bet you Xbox One sales in the US were better than One X sales in the US.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I would just think it's interesting because when you have like something like the PS3 going to the PS4, because not a lot of people were excited about the PS3 Slim or like moving around. Some people were, but not everybody was. It was small audience.
Good girl.
Well, it's small and took features away. This adds features.
I mean, because you remember the backwards compatibility? Because that wasn't taken out with the Slim. That was taken out with the original model.
No, ma'am. It was taken out. Not all of it was taken out with the Slim.
Are we talking about PlayStation?
We were talking about PS3,
the
right?
backwards compatibility was taken out before the Slim was. The original units that they were producing before the Slim came out, most of them were not backwards compatible.
No, that's not true. They were backwards compatible, but not with all games. Basically, what happened was launch day, the first wave of PlayStation 3s could play PlayStation 1 and 2 games.
Yes.
The next revision could only play PlayStation 3 and 1 games, no 2.
Yes.
So it wasn't completely removed until the Slim.
You're right. Something backwards compatible as far as all of it, not just one of it.
Yeah.
They also melted on the inside, which was kind of cool.
That's the other thing. We're talking about buzzwords like vapor cooling. Xbox One X is not vapor cooled. It is water cooled. It is liquid cooled like a PC is. If you vapor cooled the inside of an electronics device, you'd get a fucking rusted out machine that doesn't work.
Yes.
It's not vapor
Vapor
cooled.
cooling is the blast processing of 2017.
Kind of, yeah. They should have just said liquid cooled. That would have made more sense.
I feel like there was like some kind of patented term they had with the word vapor in it, and I'm losing it.
Yeah.
But like,
Lord Vapor.
yeah, it was. The the Xbox One X is the first electronic representative from the Vape Nation.
Sweet plumes. That's like one of the bullet points.
Every now and then the Xbox One X just like lets out a little ring.
And I don't want to piss anybody off that listens to the show and bought the thing.
Sure.
Like I'm not against it at all. I just have been trying to understand it.
No, you're part of a small
know?
audience, and and I think that,
Like I love the Vita. I bought the Vita. No one bought that shit. You know.
Well, I think that if you buy an Xbox One
I
X,
feel like more people bought the Vita than they bought the PSP Go.
Well, a lot of people. No, that's not true. PSP Go's outsold it, but Vita did outsell.
Really?
Yeah, but Vita did outsell Wii U.
That's a low bar though.
Oh.
And I bought a Wii U, so
Yeah.
let's see where that stands.
Yeah. Well, I mean that thing lets you play Breath of the Wild on it, so.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and Pokken and other fun stuff.
Well, let's not get carried away. But like, I don't know.
Not a lot of other fun stuff, just some.
I don't know. I think that like, yeah. I mean, I could see someone listening to this and being like, well, fuck these guys.
Right. The intention is not to talk.
Like,
shit
well,
about
like
it.
I see, like, what I'm saying is like I could see them listening to it and be like, well, fuck these guys. I like this thing and it's awesome, which is great. It's like, don't look to us to justify your
There's
purchase.
been plenty of editors tweeting about it that love it, say that it is awesome, and it is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just.
I feel like
know?
it has the
Like,
potential to
it's-
do a lot for console development.
Yeah.
And I feel like
But it's held back.
being held back by this like, I understand the logic of not wanting to alienate like early adopters. I
Right.
understand that you don't want to alienate people who only have an Xbox One or
Because
only
4
have
years
an Xbox
later,
One
right?
S, right?
But think about Switch
like,
is 4 years later. Switch is 4 years after Wii U.
like,
You know?
like,
It's okay.
as a market, we manufactured these fucking life cycles, right? So like,
Right.
I mean, there's no hard set rule that says that a life cycle has to be 5 years or
Right.
10 years or whatever, right? If you have better hardware that can do more, put that shit out there and the market will decide whether or not they're going to buy it. But again, like if you want to talk about how powerful your console is, which I've seen the specs, that thing, it's a fucking beast. I get
is.
it. But at the same time, you're giving me experiences that I can get, albeit at a lower visual fidelity, on my existing hardware. If you give me a game that I can only play on the Xbox One X that takes advantage of the technical capabilities of that thing,
Or create a program for developers that are doing just Xbox One X. And
Sure.
call it, like, a special program.
Right.
Sure.
I
Do
just think it's
something
weird.
that's exclusive
It-
because
it's-
otherwise I don't have a reason to upgrade.
yeah,
It's funny
I don't-
because the big three, I think they worry about it because how long the last gen lasted.
Sure.
You know, we've talked about it before on the show. If you think about how long the original Xbox lasted before the 360 came out,
it wasn't very long.
it would be the same amount of time. It would literally be the same amount of time if Xbox just released a new console.
It was like the first
It was a 4-year
4
thing.
years.
Yeah.
And the only reason, and we talked about why the Xbox 360
Right.
had a 10-year life cycle.
Right.
Well, it's because like, you know, our economy kind of took a shit for a
Right.
while there, right? So, I mean,
But I mean, even then, it's still not like it's a different marketing environment. People are looking more on as far as like production,
Yeah.
development,
but like
and all that.
Wii U's 4 years, and Nintendo's like, okay,
But
it's
I don't
time.
think it's
Yeah.
It's
I don't-
time.
I don't think it's fair to compare that because in our Nintendo Switch show,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it. It's the most powerful handheld. So let's go from the last 3DS to Switch. If we're gonna call it a handheld,
But
let's talk
Nintendo is calling it a home console. Nintendo never calls it a handheld.
But compare the Switch, just the specs and just the home console part to the Wii U. Is it terribly that much different?
It is significantly better, yeah.
All right. Then I got no point.
I mean, look, it's not better in like it's a PS4. It's not, but it is more powerful than a 360 or a PS3.
well, that's,
but compare
the-
the Wii U to the Switch, just the home port, not any of the mobile port. What is the differences? Remind me, because I got Gen Brain. Hurt eye.
Things like resolution, whereas most Wii U games maxed out at 720. There are Switch games that'll max out at 1080.
but I also feel like Nintendo.
Not a lot of them, but they're there.
But
like,
you're still.
I feel like
but they're
Nintendo
still-
exists in like a whole separate ecosystem of their own, where
Yeah.
the
But it-
requirement is only that the next Nintendo system be better than the previous one.
Right.
Not necessarily that it has
Right.
to stand up to the other two. Because
Well, and that's always been
Well,
their whole thing.
but if you're gonna- but if
Power
you're
is
gonna
not
s-
as important as other things.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna compare Nintendo's the Wii U to Nintendo Switch, it
Yeah.
only being 4 years,
Right.
but then you're gonna say it's its own ecosystem, you can't really then compare it to the Microsoft.
Sure, but
Xbox
at
One.
but at the
Well,
same,
I didn't say that, and I made the comparison. Ryan didn't make that comparison.
no, I
but
was
but,
arguing it to
but
Ryan.
what I'm saying is that there's like the reasons for those two things are very different. I think because the Xbox 360 had a long life cycle because the economy was bad. The Wii U had a short life cycle because
The Wii U was bad.
the Wii U was
And
bad.
it really doesn't have anything to do with power, right? It has to do with what these manufacturers are deciding to do.
Yeah.
Nintendo sees a failing console and says, "Okay, we're 4 years in. We're going to release our new console."
Right.
Doesn't matter how powerful it is. Microsoft, on the other hand, who had a 4-year console life cycle at one point, sees a failing console and says, "Well, let's put out this iterative thing."
Sure.
And they come out with these terms, right? These terms that no one used before, beyond generations,
Yeah.
play anywhere, things like that, right?
Sure.
That don't really do anything for anybody. I mean, I guess they do something for some people.
Well,
Somebody likes it, right?
well,
Somebody's into it,
But
but
it's-
you use the beyond generations moniker because like that's the whole fucking arbitrary life cycle thing, right? Because you use the beyond generations so people don't like see this new console and say, well, shit, I just bought an Xbox One like.
But what's
2
funny
months
about
ago.
it is it's only beyond generations in the same way. Well, I guess I can't say that. It's only beyond generations in forward compatibility. You know,
right,
that's it.
yeah.
Which is great. It's great to know that the next Xbox will be able to play my other games.
Xbox is Skylanders.
Assuming that they stick with that. Assuming that they stick with Beyond Generations.
Right.
Xbox going forward will play everything backwards, right?
Right.
And that's cool.
Sure.
But like for a gamer like you for a long time have said, I don't want to play old games when I can play all these new games.
Sure.
I'm not that way.
I'm forward
but,
thinking.
but a lot of people are.
I normally do something within the last 5 years, but not anything current.
Well, what's funny is like, Ryan says that he wants to play new games. He doesn't want to play old games, right?
Like
And I disagree.
Not
and I
that
disagree.
you're hard set,
But
Ryan.
the numbers of backwards compatibility as far as hours logged and games purchased
Sure.
shows that most people agree with you, Ryan.
Well, see, that's the thing too. Is like I've got a certain affinity for certain OG Xbox games. Like I love Crimson Skies.
Right.
But there
And
aren't.
Crimson Skies looks better than it ever has now.
Yeah, but there aren't
You know?
enough original Xbox games out there for me to give a shit whether or not I can play them on my Xbox One or not.
But the thing is, so many people wanted it, and it is like we talk about Microsoft all the time. It's very consumer friendly. It's awesome they
It
did
is.
that.
It is.
But
Yeah.
their numbers, Microsoft's numbers, show that no one's using it.
Yeah.
Not no one, but very little people are
When-
using
But
it.
I mean, like
What is
you
it?
also
1 or
have to-
2%?
You also have to
Something like
think
that?
about
No, I think it's something like 5% or something
Okay.
like that.
But you also have to think about the audience playing it because I think what you're referencing is like the numbers of hours logged on backwards compatible games that you talked about before, right?
Right, versus
Okay.
new games, right?
So as long as I'm thinking correctly, so if I'm thinking you're referencing that, think about who is playing those backwards compatible games. I'm going to generalize here, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or right or whatever.
Right?
So generalizing, people who are going to backwards compatible games are older people.
Right.
Most people have very little time in their week to honestly devote to video games.
Right.
Rather than new audiences being brought in, which is like 12.
I agree with you.
17-year-olds, they could spend more time. I'm not talking about, I'm saying that like I agree and I understand that like that statistically more gamers are our age group.
Right.
But
And if that's
How
the
many-
audience, you would think that it would be larger.
if you're going by hours played, you have to think about that audience, how many times or how many hours a week they can actually dedicate to playing the games.
I'll tell you
And
this.
if we're doing it based off that, then yes, of course the younger audience, because I'm going to say, even being younger, like early 20s
Yeah.
or 19 or 18, spending less time sleeping so I can play more time WoW.
Right.
I'm not
Which
gonna
you
do
got
that.
kicked off of.
I'm not going to do Yeah. Corey loves that.
I agree with you,
Corey loves that
Shanee.
fact,
Like,
but,
I think you're making a very good, valid point. But I'll say this. I'm 34, and I play more video games than my 6th and 4th grader. You know? I spend more time in games weekly than they do.
But that's also small anecdotally and not on a larger generalization scale.
How do you know that?
Because the hours going into it.
I don't understand.
So like I said, if we're gonna go with the same generalization thinking,
Yeah.
that it's older people playing these games,
And it probably is. You're probably right.
and they have less time.
You're assuming they have less time.
Generalization.
Yeah.
So yes, assuming. When you generalize, you assume.
What? Okay, so it's funny because as someone who is just a year younger than Tom, I also play about.
You play more than I do.
I play like 12 hours of
Yeah.
video games
A day.
an hour. So I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, yes, we are very, very like a microscopic sample size.
And meanwhile,
I mean, we'd have to look at survey data to
Yeah.
really speak empirically to it, but
17 to 22-year-old Shanee played much more video games than I do now when I'm on a video game podcast.
You also live a very different life than Ryan or I do.
yeah, your life is very interesting and active, whereas Tom and I,
Like, I go to work, I spend time with my kids, and I play video games, and that's
like
it.
Tom and I live out most of our lives inside of our respective
in this
bedrooms.
room. We live most of our life at this table.
At this table, playing, not even playing video games together, playing separate video games
Next to each other.
and not even talking to each other, or just like, because I was talking to Tom,
Me and Berto used to do that.
Yeah.
like,
Not to compare y'all to a couple.
No,
but,
we're a
like,
couple.
yeah,
We're
basically.
basically a couple.
I mean,
But
gave up on denying that.
being, as well as being my fiance, Berto is my best friend. I love
I
spending
thought
time.
I was your best friend.
Yeah, that's
No.
fucked up.
No,
So
Wow.
nah.
that's fucked
Like-
up,
Wow.
Tom. Wow, Shanee, I thought I was your best friend.
Nah.
I'm Christopher Walken.
Anyways,
Oh, fuck.
but
That was pretty good considering I've never done that before.
That was so good, actually. Yes. But yeah, no, me, like, especially when I was playing Persona and he was playing whatever games he was playing.
Yeah.
And even like during our relationship, like I'd be on the bed playing like my 3DS while he was playing Dark Souls.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
That's a sign of a healthy relationship.
You know,
though.
it's silly for you and I to like argue about it anyway, because like
It's
that's
not
it's
arguing.
not part of the conversation though, right? Like, we know that the numbers are low.
yeah.
That's it. We know that the numbers
we
are
got
low.
distracted and
Yeah.
alcohol happened.
No, I mean, me too. I got distracted too.
But at
like,
the same
yeah,
time,
that's it. We know the numbers
the
are
backwards
very low.
compatibility-
It doesn't matter to people.
It does make.
It's a bullet point.
Yeah.
It's
But
a
it-
bullet
but
point.
I mean, it allows them to
But
continue
Microsoft
monetizing
is-
on like 10-year-old games.
Yeah.
15-year-old games. So
Sure, to a very minuscule number of people.
yeah.
Microsoft is catering to like a small community of people, like as far as the Xbox One X goes.
But why?
So like if that's
Can
gonna
they
be,
afford that?
no,
Because you know they're taking a loss on it.
Yeah.
yes.
you know?
Yes.
So like, what's the end game? Like that's
That is a very good question. It's
like that's always my question. Like when things like this that happen and they don't make sense to me, I'm like, what's your end game here? Like, what are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
yeah, like
So-
with other actual like non half step consoles, and I'm doing air
Well, I
conditions.
think that they assumed that it would be bigger than it is. And to be fair, we don't really know how.
I mean,
big
it
we
was-
don't know how big it is and how
I feel
big
like
it's going to be.
I
we
kind of
also
feel
don't
like it
know
was
how
a
big they assumed it to be.
Right.
sure, but I also feel like it was kind of a bigger deal last gen when they were doing backwards compatibility on the Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a bigger deal then.
Well, sure, because you probably had more of those games.
Yeah.
By now, more of them are broke. More of them are in landfills, and
Yeah.
you know. Granted, you can still purchase those, but like that's no different than Steam. I guess Steam has the biggest backwards compatible catalog, then, right?
Sure.
But
I mean, but sometimes you got to go into your settings and click shit to make them work.
sure, sure.
Which
Ugh,
which
clicking
again
shit.
is another argument as to why you would play on console.
It
But
absolutely is. It absolutely is.
because there are some games that I bought that are actually only like a year or so old that I had to go into the settings and click a bunch of shit to get them to work.
There are things that have frustrated me about PC for sure.
But overall, it's a very fulfilling experience.
Can I ask questions to NCAP?
Of course.
Sure. Go ahead.
So, let's just go down the line because this is how we're sitting. If you only listen to us, Tom would be first.
Okay.
What do you think of the Xbox One X personally, and what do you think they could do in the next, say, year to appeal to broader audiences and sell more consoles?
It doesn't appeal to me personally. I personally have zero
So these are
reason
your
to buy
thoughts.
it. You know, I've got no reason to buy it, and I think that.
And why is that?
I don't think any of us have a reason to buy it because literally all of those games I can play with better performance on my PC. Literally all of them. I have an Xbox One S. I don't touch it.
I have an Xbox.
That's his kid's Minecraft machine.
But I do think it's good for certain people. What can they do to improve it? Go back on their word. Say, hey, here's some games that will only run on this thing. You know.
Do you think? All right. So yeah. No.
I concur with Tom. Because like, look, man, like, so.
But what are your thoughts?
And they
first?
and
The
you
time-
can't you can't buy them on
personally-
on PC.
Yes,
you can't buy them on
the
PC.
The times that Microsoft has
know?
gone back on what they said, people were okay with it. The DRM thing, they went back on that. People were okay. Granted, they went back on it because
some people were okay with it. A lot of people jumped ship and moved to PlayStation.
Well, I mean,
a lot of people jumped ship.
I
and
mean,
moved
the
to PlayStation.
DRM they weren't okay with, and
Yeah.
they moved to PlayStation because of that. But when they said that, they were like, "Hey, actually, that's not a thing anymore. Sorry, we didn't mean to say that."
Right.
Then people were like, "Okay, good."
Yeah, but there was a lot of people that were like, too late.
Yeah,
It's too late.
sure.
I'm gone.
And that's kind of like
Yeah.
that's kind of had lasting effects. But like, I feel like, and maybe this is me being, maybe I'm naive, but I feel like if they went back on their word, let's say a year from now, or maybe 2 years from now, they're like, "Look, we know what we said, but check this out."
They can't do it 2 years from now. It has to be like soon.
Okay.
I said
because
next year.
Next year, okay.
we know that
I said- my
Shanee is
question-
already
my
doing
questions
5,
were-
right? Like
Yeah.
we know 5 is already being made.
So in
My
like
questions were-
within a year from now, if you want to, I feel like if you really want to move units, especially for somebody who is like a kind of a middle of the road consumer, you give them experiences that are exclusive to your newest tech.
Yeah.
So
Oh, can I add another one, Shanee?
real
Yes.
quick, you got real quick.
I'm sorry.
She looked at her invisible watch.
We knew that at some point last year, Microsoft had some sort of deal with Oculus, and we've yet to see that. Spencer has come out and said things that make it sound like they're no longer interested in that. If I can play VR on a console as opposed to a PC,
I'd be all in.
And we
The
know,
Sony
and we
VR
know,
has been fantastic. So
right? But we know that Oculus is better than that.
Yes.
And now much more affordable.
Yes.
Not more affordable than PSVR, but more affordable.
Sure.
But-
If I could play it on a console, don't have to worry about a PC. I think that would bring at least some people in.
That would sell me.
It would bring some people.
That would
in.
sell me.
All right. So mine, and then I have one more question.
Okay.
So as far as my thoughts on the Xbox One X, I don't have a 4K television. I don't have that much money because I just bought a puppy. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I just got engaged. We're
Oh
also
my
saving.
god, I knew she was gonna put that in there. I'm joking, Shanee.
Well, no, it's starting.
All that stuff is expensive.
Well, it's not getting engaged.
Yeah.
Even though it's in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna talk about it like necessarily every time.
Yeah.
But like we are thinking about like what we want to do
Sure.
as far as parties
Yeah.
beforehand,
Yeah.
the actual wedding. How we're starting the planning process. And so normally when you're planning something, you don't spend a lot of money because
Sure.
you don't know how much it's gonna cost.
Sure.
So I have that, and I don't even have children or like, and I have a partner to help me with expenses. And even then, I'm like, I don't want an Xbox One X because that's an unnecessary thing.
Like you guys budget together at this
I
point.
feel like the Xbox One X is unnecessary.
Right.
And
So-
let me be clear: if somebody just gave me one, I'd be super hyped.
I would.
I don't know that I'd ever use it, but I'd be super hyped.
I
Like,
would be.
you know?
I
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
with that sentiment. I would be very happy.
Yeah.
So what I think Xbox, what I think Microsoft would do in the next year to help move units,
Yeah.
that y'all haven't mentioned, I think, not necessarily going back on their word, but they could totally, easily double down on third-party companies and be like, look what our companies have done with our console, and really highlight that. And
Do you mean
Do-
like third-party exclusives?
Yes.
Like, hey, make a game for us?
yes,
They've already tried, dude.
they have not done successfully.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen any of the marketing or media for that. And
Yeah.
I do like gaming websites and stuff because we have a newscast and I gotta find news. So I
Well,
can talk about
like
it.
with Insomniac, with multiple well, no, I guess technically that's just the one. With Insomniac doing Sunset Overdrive, stuff like that. Rise, Son of Rome, or was that first party?
I feel like that was first party.
All right, so
But
like
then
how,
again, that's you can get that on Steam.
Either way, Insomniac jumped ship from didn't jump ship, but they went from making basically being the second party Sony studio to doing third party for Microsoft, and made a game that cost them more than probably any Ratchet and Clank game cost them to make, and
Sold okay.
sold not great.
I guess.
did they make a lot of? Because I don't remember seeing. I see like putting more money into advertisement and production as far as marketing goes towards those things. 'Cause I didn't see any funny or viral videos.
No, but just like you said earlier in the show, who do you think should fund that? Microsoft should probably fund that.
No,
you
I'm
know?
saying Microsoft should do that. My question was Microsoft in the next year.
Yeah.
Microsoft should put out videos like how Blizzard is capitalizing on the EA.
Oh yeah, yeah. Blizzard's on point.
Blizzard's capitalizing on the EA kind of like pushback.
Yeah.
As far as the microtransactions
Yeah.
of Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
EA has put not EA, but Blizzard has put up 3 videos that I've seen so
For
far.
like StarCraft.
StarCraft and
Yeah.
also Hearthstone and
Well, and with BlizzCon being recent and all that, they had a lot to go through.
But the point is, like, they're capitalizing on this. So if Microsoft could put out media and like viral stuff, they have the money, they can hire the teams to capitalize and not necessarily going back on their word,
Yeah.
but within the next year to push more units, put it out there, make jokes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because that was
be relevant.
No,
Because
you're right.
Right now, they're not relevant.
It's funny
in
because
the internet
like
community.
Microsoft has always been
Well, they're
like,
the most relevant, but not because of
but
Xbox.
I feel like
Well,
they've
no,
always
no,
I feel-
Xbox One X is not
Right,
the most relevant.
I feel like they've always been
internet
too
community.
too self-serious to do something like that.
No,
Which is like
I remember PlayStation demos versus Microsoft demos. You can see where the marketing teams
Yeah.
are different.
Yeah.
PlayStation has a lot more jokes, and you know what? That reaches a lot more people, like
Sure.
younger and older audiences. People don't like it when you take like a company too serious.
Yeah, people
Like,
respond
they
to
wanna
weird,
have
funny
some
ads.
integrity, but they want to have jokes as well.
Yeah.
So you got to find the good middle ground. They need to invest money into their marketing and production work. I always harp about it. I also do production work, so that's part of the reason why. But yeah, they should. That's what in the next year. That's what I think.
No, I think you're not wrong. If you look at like the figureheads, right? Reggie always seems quite serious. Spencer typically seems quite serious. Even guys like Mark Cerny or Sean Layden seem serious. But like, Nintendo has big developers like Iwata and all that, and that do funny things. Go on the Tonight Show and things of that nature, right? Even Sony has Gio Corsi, who is kind of dumb, but he makes jokes at these conferences and all that.
He wears jerseys on stage, which is cool.
Or even the reveal of the original iterations of these consoles with hey, here's how you lend a friend a game on PS4.
Yeah.
And he hands him the box, right?
Yeah.
Sick burns, I guess. Like it's
Yeah,
you're
no,
right.
people
You are
do
right,
it.
Shanae.
People respond well, to
Yeah.
Shanae's point. Like people respond well to that shit because I guarantee you that the StarCraft thing with with the microtransactions or whatever.
No, people are forgetting
people-
about bullshit that goes on with Hearthstone because
Yeah.
they're doing this.
Yeah.
Yes, and as get like voice actors that did like Gears of War or
Yeah.
Forza, like do like people that are part of the community and
People
have
love
them,
Laura Bailey.
Yeah, John
and have
DiMaggio.
and have them in on it, pay them for it, because then it promotes the third party company and makes Microsoft looks good because their names are tied into it.
Right.
It's tied into the console. Get that console name out there. Like you have, I know this is just an iteration, and like you already have Xbox One that's already out there, but you have to market it like it's a new
Celebrity
console.
endorsements.
But not even like super celebrities because like
No, I
you're
feel
saying
like
that voice actors are the same as like actual. Yeah.
I feel like voice actors or industry personalities like IGN or whatever. I feel like that's a very different kind of celebrity, but a celebrity that people
Love.
Well, you're talking about like the average consumer, right?
yeah.
Because like McCaffrey loves the One X,
Yeah.
Legary loves the One X. The majority of the people buying this console don't know who
Don't
they
know who
are.
those
But
are.
if like you have somebody
Or
that's
even
like a
who shot
voice
later,
for Call
Phil
of
Spencer,
Duty,
right?
But even have somebody that's not like a voice for Call of Duty or Gears of War,
Right.
And then like, oh, I don't know that person, and then they hear that voice, like, oh, I've played a Gears of War game once or
Yeah.
played with some friends. I know that voice. It's a familiarity.
Sure,
And then
it
have
has
them
to be a recognizable voice.
Well-
If the Ghost of Dom comes back, voiced
Well-
by Morgan Freeman.
Well, here's the thing.
You're gonna
is
recognize
that
it.
John DiMaggio is also the voice of Bender, and you can use Bender to sell your Gears of War game. Same
Or
guy.
whatever. But like, but like, or even have like people in the industry just like
buy a game that
have
Bender told me to buy.
I have not seen any marketing like that for Xbox One X. If it is out there, educate me.
I've seen
as
marketing,
always.
but not enough.
But
know.
is it like that?
No, not.
Exactly.
It's all the most powerful console, 4K.
Yeah.
It's all that.
It's kind of
No, that's
it's
bullshit,
actually a
because
bit
I don't-
smug. Actually, now that I think
Yeah,
about it.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do. Just obviously, like we've just
You
not
wanna have-
not enough people.
You
Yeah.
want to have confidence, but you also want that approachability.
Right.
Sure.
And you want that name out there. How's that name going to be out there? Fucking viral memes,
Yeah.
jokes, things that people can get on. And so you get excited about it. Get that name out there.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I had a question in cap it, but
Okay.
I forgot. So
You want
Yeah.
you want to take a quick fiver to think about it, like a quick 5 seconds.
I got nothing. Basically, nothing. Nothing.
You know, I thought this week, the thought crossed my mind that the games available to play on Xbox One in general, whether it's the original S or X, the exclusive games available to play on those consoles really make me miss the 360.
Yeah, I feel like the years between 2005 and 2013 were.
But
You couldn't go wrong, right? That generation, well, it doesn't matter if you're playing on Wii,
Yeah.
Xbox, PlayStation, you couldn't go wrong. They were all fantastic.
And-
And it's funny seeing Switch come out this
Wii
year.
was not.
Switch's
for, like,
numbers
har-
are trailing just behind the original Wii. Just behind the original
I just
Wii.
feel like as far as consoles are concerned,
So it's like it's projected to surpass the Xbox One.
I feel like as far as consoles are concerned, I get it. It was on a longer timeline than the current gen consoles, but I
Yeah.
just feel like at this point, I was having
more fun
I was having more fun with the Xbox 360.
with that generation
That
in
generation
general.
in general, you know,
Yeah.
I was just having more fun, and
Yeah.
I just feel like
And to
with,
be fair, 2017 has been fantastic.
it has been 2017 has been the best year in video games that I've seen in some time, but I also feel like last year things were just more things were more out there and they were more adventurous, and people are making really safe business investments, which makes sense, but at the same time, me as a consumer,
Well, you also have to think about things like fiduciary duty.
Yeah.
Whether they want to or not, they are obligated to make these decisions sometimes.
yeah,
You know.
got shareholders to think about.
Right.
And, I don't know. I just, I felt like PlayStation especially, they were taking a lot more risks, where indie games were concerned, and because you saw a lot of that shit on PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 3 was just this. It was
So is Xbox, both of them.
yeah, you had Xbox Live Arcade and
Yeah.
shit like that, and things were just awesome.
I remember summer of arcade was an
Oh, man.
event.
I looked forward
you
to
know?
it every year, man.
I'd
and
buy
it's
all of those just to
Yeah.
not just for the discount, but because I wanted all of them.
Yeah, and it's
you
just
know?
Xbox Live Arcade was this amazing thing that just
Yeah.
it doesn't exist anymore, and it's kind of that whole thing was kind of been absorbed into the larger Xbox ecosystem, which granted
we also have to remember mid-tier falling out as well.
sure, but at the same time, this is also we've seen the this great increased prominence of the indie developer, and this great promise of these great
Yeah.
experiences of games that they don't have a AAA budget behind them, but they've been giving us games that are better.
Well,
in
and
some
we've talked
cases.
about it before. You don't see any more downloadable game of the year.
Yeah.
It's just game of the year.
Yeah,
Maybe it's an indie company, maybe
'cause
not.
That distinction doesn't exist anymore
Right.
because of the quality that we've come to expect from
Right.
these great developers.
It's not all shovelware anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got games like Drinkbox,
Yeah.
making fantastic games, right? And you got games you got people like Supermassive, Supergiant, making these fantastic smaller games, but games that you mentioned in the same breath as multi-million-dollar AAA productions, right?
Right.
And granted, that's great, but at the same time, I miss the summer of arcade, right? I miss Xbox Live Arcade because there's just it was fun. It was this,
It was different than it is now.
yeah. Because now again, it's part of this whole homogenous
Yeah.
ecosystem that.
Well,
exists part
you
of
think about
Xbox.
PlayStation 3 and you think about things like all the pixel junk games and all that, and we just we still get those, but we don't really get we don't get as much of that stuff, and it's not as new and it's not as exciting, and you making an HD version of Loco Roco is great, but maybe give me something new in
Yeah.
that same vein, you know? I don't know.
Can I plug something?
Yeah. Video games are
That's,
depressing. So let's.
That's not
So cheer me up.
necessarily video game related, but it has something to do with it.
Okay.
Is it fanfic?
Is
No.
it?
A little bit of Diddy Dixie going on?
It's actually pretty serious.
Okay.
Oh,
Hold-
sorry.
Let me
Sorry.
get my giggles out.
Get your giggles.
I'm just thinking about the fucking.
It's Ryan's mom's birthday today. Not whenever this comes out, but when we're recording it.
Dorothy.
Dorothy, happy birthday. You're a lovely woman, and you've raised a lovely son.
She was the most beautiful
She
experience.
is.
You know-
like most amazing influence on me being who I am. And
I haven't seen her in a few years.
I love her.
And you have been my good friend for over a year now.
yeah,
And I'm really glad she helped raise you to the amazing man that you are.
thank you.
It's been a few years
thanks,
since I've
Dorothy.
seen her, but she's always really sweet to me. She always wouldn't mind me eating whatever out of her refrigerator,
Yeah, she kind of.
you know?
Yeah,
She did mind. She just didn't say anything to you.
yeah, she kind of.
Well, thanks.
But that's not what I wanted to mention.
Okay.
What I wanted to mention is net neutrality.
Oh, no.
Right to your congressman, man. Have a good week.
You're an asshole.
This is what we've sunk into, Shanee.
You're a fucking asshole. But whatever. Man.
We love you guys.
You know what I want to mention?
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
Click on that Discord. Come talk to us.
Yeah,
I will be doing a giveaway.
I got on it. I'm talking.
Discord
to people.
is.
I'll be doing a giveaway that Shanae does not qualify for
I think it should-
to the Discord chat very soon.
Yeah, come hang out at our Discord. We talk about video games. We talk about McDonald's.
Yeah.
We talk about whatever. It's a fun little thing that we do where we just hang out with people who like our show and also who kind of just like video games and
Also,
have a
the
good time.
more people that get in there, I feel like the more fun it will be.
Yeah. It's been a great thing. Shout out to the people who are already there.
Yeah, like Corey and James Sandusky.
Yeah.
Shadow.
Yeah. Shadow.
Birdo.
Ghetto Nerd.
Yeah, go nerd.
Yeah. You guys have been great.
Stephanie.
Yeah. Melchbox.
If you go in there and you're negative, I will remove you. So
Yeah.
you know.
Don't like the only rule is don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. It's. I just want to shout out to the people who have been supporting us, who have been interacting with us in all of our platforms. Thank you.
We like talking to you, and you will be gifted soon.
Yeah. We're gonna write you a really great Chimptopia fan
No.
fiction.
Look, it'll be a gift card to the platform of your choice, regardless of where you live, Corey. So you will qualify as well.
Yeah.
We're
I
not
also
sure how
bought-
we're gonna go about doing it.
I also just bought beautiful thank you cards, so you can use those.
For what?
Well, I mean,
Say
if you
thank
want to
you.
mail it, you can mail it. I'm not doing that.
I like to mail stuff. I have terrible handwriting. That's the only
So
problem.
if you want to give Shanae your address, which I wouldn't recommend, you can do it in Discord. Hop into the Discord.
Anyway, guys, once again, thank you for spending the past hour and a half with us. As always, it is a pleasure to bring you this content. My name is Ryan Robinson. That's Tom Shelby. Shanae Howard.
Wahoo!
Idiots. See you next week.